Welcome everyone to the DraftKings Quarterbacks Week 16 video here on the FantasyCruncher YouTube page. But before we begin with the quarterback selections, it's time to select our random winner of FantasyCruncher Pro for a week. Now it's not only good for football anymore, it's also good for basketball. So that free week is good for football and basketball. And our winner is Tofu Cat. Congratulations to Tofu Cat. Your credit has been, will be credited with a week of FantasyCruncher Pro for NFL and NBA. Not a bad week to get it, too. You get the two slates of football, the Christmas Day basketball slate. So it's all set. It's all on your account, ready to rumble. So let's do it. Hopefully you can take down some GPPs with that help. All right, let's do it. Quarterback position on the main slate. There's a lot of good options. So, just taking a quick glance at the totals, we're finally starting to get those winter weather games that we've been so happily avoiding the last few weeks. The only game in a controlled weather climate is Jacksonville, Atlanta, and Carolina, Indy. Everything else is climate-based, and not necessarily the world's best cities. Well, I guess Miami's probably a good climate this time of year. But New York, Washington, Tennessee, Cleveland, Denver, LA, I guess will probably be okay. Philly, Seattle could all get cold and windy and snowy and rainy, so we'll definitely have to keep our eye on that weather and injuries as we go across the week. Just a reminder, too, FantasyCruncher.com, all our articles are free, so if you're checking this out later in the week, you like the video, want to see our most latest thoughts on the slate, go ahead over to FantasyCruncher.com and you can check it out. Again, all our articles are free, so come on over, check them out. All right, let's do it. We'll start at the top. Russell Wilson at 7,000 against Arizona. He's a fantastic option. He's going to be one of the higher-owned quarterbacks this week, and it's hard for me to say no. He's just fantastic. He's going to throw the ball. Arizona defense loves giving up passing yards to everyone. I think it's a fantastic option, especially when you start looking at, the next options are Drew Brees and Ryan Tannehill. Remember how I told you last week that Ryan Tannehill was the 5th most expensive quarterback and you would have called me crazy? Imagine if I told you now 4th most expensive quarterback on a main slate this year. I just can't pay this price for Ryan Tannehill. Nothing really has changed for me off of last week. Again, it's fine. I just don't see him ever breaking the slate here at this price, especially against a good Saints defense. So I'll take a pass on that, along with Drew Brees, too. Him outside, I just automatically fade. So I'm going to kind of drop into this middle tier. Jacoby Brissett's an option, but T.Y. Hilton's limited. Carolina's starting a new quarterback, which is always kind of nice, but I just don't know what the real ceiling is there. Carson Wentz, again, just doesn't have a ceiling. He just doesn't have a ceiling. He threw the ball 44 times against the Redskins and still didn't flash a ceiling. Prove it to me, Carson Wentz, especially against a very good Cowboys defense. Phillip Rivers against Oakland, I think, is a really interesting spot. I think Oakland this is a really big letdown spot for them last week. Final game in the Oakland Coliseum. A couple brutal calls went against them to cost them that game. The fans were angry. The Raiders players were angry. It's just hard to see them showing up this week, especially now that Josh Jacobs has been ruled out. So Phillip Rivers in this passing attack. I know Phillip Rivers has been very hot or cold this season, but this feels like a really nice Phillip Rivers ceiling spot. Drew Lock has continued to impress, Last week, it was a snowstorm in Kansas City, and it just didn't go well. But he made some great plays. And so I'm willing to keep him in the consideration pile, especially against this Detroit secondary that's given up a ton of yards. Just kind of got to see what the weather is before I can really commit to him. And then, of course, we get down to Ryan Fitzpatrick and Andy Dalton in the Cincinnati-Miami game. I think both quarterbacks are firmly in play. Andy Dalton at 5,200 against that Miami secondary, I imagine will be pretty popular, probably your default cash option. Well, maybe people will go to Will Greer. He's getting that start for Carolina this week, as I mentioned. Kyle Allen finally threw one too many interceptions, and the price on him is 4,300. So I could see him being a cash option too. Will Greer out of West Virginia, 3rd-round pick, knows what the deep ball is. The check down, not so much, but he's a quarterback for 4,300, going to play the entire game. I played Taylor Hinkie last year in Week 15 for Carolina as a third-string quarterback. So I'll probably have some Will Greer shares in tournaments as well. So if I was just trying to look at a top 5, try to lock it in early week thoughts for the top 5. Russell Wilson, Phillip Rivers, Andy Dalton, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Will Greer would be the 5 quarterbacks that I'm looking at. What are the 5 quarterbacks you're looking at? Actually, you know what? Just give me your highest scoring quarterback. Raw points. Don't need the point per dollar this week. Leave your player name and your FantasyCruncher username in the comments section. Subscribe and like to the show. And you'll be entered in a chance to win FantasyCruncher Pro for a week as well. So again, leave your name and a quarterback you think will be the highest scoring on the main slate in the comments section and make yourself eligible to win. And we'll draw it next week for our Week 17 video. With that, guys, make sure you check out our running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and defense videos. You got 3 more chances to win and, honestly, 3 more great videos to watch. If you haven't watched the Saturday slate preview, we got that up as well. Until then, guys, we'll see you next time.